Hi guys, I'm Samuel Aycock, and today I'll be talking to you about American military intervention and foreign conflicts. So first I need to provide a little background on American military intervention. Since 1800, the United States has intervened in 392 foreign conflicts, 126 of which have come within the past 19 years. So almost 1/3 of all interventions have come within the past 19 years. And there are multiple factors that the United States leaders consider before they decide to intervene in the country. The first is the geographic position of the country. The United States leaders will usually choose to intervene in a country if it is geographically close to the United States, but that's not always the case. The second is the political stability of the country. The United States leaders will generally choose to intervene in a country if it is politically unstable. And third is the type of government. Leaders will usually choose to intervene in a country if the type of government is not a democracy. So the question that I wanted to answer through my research is, should the United States Armed Forces intervene in foreign conflicts? And through my research, I came to the conclusion that the United States Armed Forces should intervene in foreign conflicts in order to stop the spread of terrorism. So why does the debate matter? Well, according to Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., in his letter from Birmingham jail, he stated that injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. So that means that if there are any problems, any injustices anywhere in the world, that can be a direct threat to the United States. And terrorism has directly impacted the United States. Since 1970, there have been 2,872 terrorist attacks and incidents on American soil. So just to provide some statistics on terrorism within recent history, in 2017 alone, there were 8,584 terrorist attacks and incidents worldwide, where 18,753 people were killed. And the two terrorist organizations that were responsible for the most attacks was the Islamic State in Iraq and Syria, and also the Taliban from Pakistan. So besides just inciting terror to people all around the world, there are other effects that terrorism has. The first is the effect that it has on tourism. Tourists are much less likely to visit a country if there's a threat of terror, and that therefore has a negative effect on the GDP. On average, if there's a terror threat, the GDP of the country has on average about a 2% decrease. And then there's also a negative impact on the foreign direct investments. Foreign investments in that country usually drop about 20% if there's a threat of terrorism. So there are multiple sides to the war on terror, which is America's fight against terrorism since 9/11. And since 9/11, there has been an overwhelming support for the war on terror within the United States. And it has mostly been by the American public, actually. And these people believe that it will significantly reduce the amount of terrorism in the United States and throughout the world, and they believe that it will do a good job of keeping us safe. On the other side, there's the opposition to the war on terror, and these people believe that the war on terror is unjustified because of the cost. Intervention in the Middle East and the war on terror costs billions of dollars each year, and there's also a risk of life. Hundreds of thousands of troops have been sent to fight each year, and have been in the Middle East fighting each year. And they also believe that there's no good side to support. On one side, in Syria, you have terrorist organizations such as ISIS and Al-Qaeda, but then on the other side, there is President al-Assad, who many people believe to be a cruel dictator, as he has done many harmful things to his citizens. And so they believe that the United States should not intervene just since there's no good side to support. But because of the threat that terrorism poses to the world, we should intervene. So there are multiple solutions to the war on terror. The first is sending troops to combat zones and also using airstrikes. And this is a significant way of fighting terrorism because we will be able to fight terrorism directly and know exactly how we are doing in the fight on terrorism. The limitations, though, is that it is very expensive. Since the war on terror started after 9/11, the United States has spent over $6 trillion on the war on terror. And if, as time goes on, that number will only increase. And also there's a risk in losing lives. Since the war on terror started after 9/11, approximately 7,000 American troops have been killed in the Middle East. The second possible solution is fighting terrorism at home, and this would mainly be done by increasing the amount of airport security and law enforcement. And this is a significant way of fighting terrorism because it would prevent a lot of attacks from happening just by watching and being vigilant. And the only limitation is that it too is very expensive. Each year it costs America $5.3 billion to fund airport security, and it costs an additional $100 billion each year to fund law enforcement. And those numbers would both only increase with an increased amount of law enforcement and airport security. The final solution is technology and to improve our current military technology. This could be a very good way of fighting terrorism as it keeps our troops fighting terrorism safe abroad, and it also keeps our citizens safe at home. It keeps our troops safe by helping them locate dangerous situations and helping them avoid those dangerous situations. And it can help American citizens by protecting infrastructure from attacks. And so what it really does is it just stops threats from ever becoming a problem. The only limitation is that it can be expensive to research and improve our current technology. So, because of the threat that terrorism poses to Americans at home and abroad, the United States Armed Forces should intervene in foreign conflicts, especially when terrorism is a problem. Thank you, and these are my works cited.
Okay. Sam, how did your research question evolve as you moved through the research process? Did your research go in a different direction than you originally planned or hypothesized?
Well, originally when I was going to do American military intervention, I was thinking about doing terrorism and also intervention in against communism, and I was going to use Vietnam War. But then I decided that that would have contradicted what I was thinking, so then I decided to do genocide along with terrorism. But just due to time constraints, it didn't really fit into my presentation.
Very good. And what additional questions emerged from your research? Why are these questions important?
Well, I guess what can we do to decrease the amount of terrorist attacks? As we know, there were 8,584 attacks worldwide in 2017, and what can we do to decrease that? And that really just leads to my solutions.